The Texas Rangers just completed an extremely disappointing season filled with regression and injuries just a season after winning the World Series. Players like Marcus Semien and Jonah Heim fell off a cliff offensively, while big name pitchers like Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom barely saw the field. However, despite that, and a ton of looming free agents, the Rangers are exciting as they come to rebuild for 2025. This makes the seventh rebuild of my Rebuilding October series, where I rebuild a new team every day across the month of October, so be sure to check out that playlist at the conclusion of this video. And with that being said, let's take the Rangers back to the World Series. Part of what makes this Ranger team so exciting is the positional player talent that is due to return. Every starter is either an all-star or former top prospect, and very little has to be done in that field of the team. It's all a matter of if some key contributors can rebound and stay healthy. On the pitching side is where things get interesting. The Rangers have had to fight through so many injury-riddled seasons, it was hard to ever see them at full strength with the unit, and with 9 pitchers from the 2024 roster set to hit free agency, this could turn into damage control as much as improving the team. First and most notable player to hit free agency is future Hall of Famer Max Scherzer. As Scherzer has approached 40 years old, his health has seemed to become the main storyline surrounding the veteran. Yet he continues to miss games for a variety of reasons, and for a team that just simply needs good but reliable arms, he doesn't make sense for this team, especially considering the contract someone of his status would demand. The Rangers do not need superstars in their rotation to win games, but they need pitchers who will go out there every 5 days and give the team a chance to win and let their offense handle the rest. And recently, Scherzer hasn't been doing that. Scherzer is still a good pitcher when he is on the field, but he's become too unreliable for this Rangers squad. Joining him on the pitchers leaving in free agency is Nathan Eovaldi, who, if you've been keeping up with my series, has been swooped up by the Los Angeles Angels. Unlike Scherzer, Eovaldi has remained fairly unscathed over the last few seasons from injury. However, as he gets further away from 30 years old, you have to wonder if that high 3 ERA will eventually dip into the fours. And at that point, there are better investments for the Rangers' money. Part of this rebuild is also the ability to prolong the team's peak years, and that doesn't happen by getting tied to poor contracts. Similar to the Mets and Padres this past offseason, moving on from Evaldi might leave the team worse on paper in the immediate future. However, through proper signings and development, it could be a blessing in disguise. Another starter leaving in free agency is Andrew Heaney. Heaney has been about as league average as they come during his time with the Rangers, and simply put, there is too much depth internally to warrant giving a contract to a league average pitcher. Heaney will assuredly get picked up by someone somewhere, but this is not the place where that happens. Another arm leaving the Rangers, this time from the bullpen, will be David Robertson, who will opt out of his deal for 2025. Once again, if you've been following this series closely, you would know that Robertson would have found a home elsewhere. This is going to be one of the casualties of having so many free agents on the Rangers' side, because David Robertson, at the ripe age of 39 years old, is still putting up great numbers. Across 72 innings, Robertson was able to post a 3 ERA and a 2.65 FIP while striking out an absurd 12.4 batters per 9 innings. Roberts' absence will be a tough pill to swallow, but in today's MLB and the streakiness of relievers, he won't be irreplaceable. Joining him in the category of relievers leaving free agency, we will have the Rangers declining Andrew Chafin's option. Chafin came over from the Tigers in a midseason trade where he was supposed to fill a very important role as a lefty reliever. However, in his time in Texas, he really struggled, posting a mid 4 ERA with a FIP that implies he should have been much worse. There are better options at the spot, and the struggles in Texas will result in him in need of another team. However, it isn't all doom and gloom in Texas, as the Rangers will be retaining Kirby Yates, who has been able to rehabilitate that 2019 form where he was arguably the best closer in baseball. Yates was able to post a 1.17 ERA across 61 innings pitched while striking out over 12 batters per 9 innings. Yates needs to be brought back to this team. He simply was too good in 2024 to just let walk into free agency. And then joining him in the players to return to the Rangers is Jose Leclerc, who had an unusually poor 2024 season. On the traditional side, Leclerc was far off the pitcher we have seen over the last few years, with a 4.32 ERA, whilst giving up a career high hits per 9 innings in a full season during his career. However, that mostly was due to a high BABIP compared to his career norms, and even his FIP would suggest he is a far better pitcher than what he showed in 2024. His 12 strikeouts per 9 innings and a near career low in the walk department would imply Leclerc is only getting better heading into his 2025 season. Hopefully, the poorer numbers on the traditional side will keep Leclerc a little more affordable for the Rangers, who will likely need to shed some payroll. Corresponding moves with that in mind would have to include a move on from Travis Jankowski, Jose Urena, and Chase Anderson, who don't have much of a role to come back to in this Rangers roster construction. Staying on the internal side of this offseason, it's important to consider prospects who could find their way into the MLB field and play a key role for the team down the stretch of the season. To start things off, we have a player who had a brief stint in the majors at the end of the season, in Kamar Rocker, who looked pretty impressive in 3 starts towards the end of the year. While it's an incredibly small sample size, the high volume of strikeouts is always encouraging, and despite dealing with a high BABIP, was able to navigate through traffic fairly well. Rocker should play a key role as a starter for this Rangers team, who need to get some rookie help at the position throughout the season. Another starter who could see some time towards the tail end of the year would be Alejandro Rosario. It is unlikely just because he has yet to pitch above high A ball. However, he has looked incredible in his first season of pro ball pitching to the tune of a 2.24 ERA across 17 starts. While it isn't a likely name that you'll hear in 2024, it is a name that you should keep in the back of your mind just in case he continues to dominate pitching in the minor leagues. However, before we can go too much farther, we have to talk about Kumar Rocker's former collegiate teammate, Jack Leiter. Leiter was as impressive as they come during his time in college, but he hasn't been able to replicate that magic as a professional, and that has continued into his 9 appearances in the majors, where he had an 8 plus ERA across 35 innings pitched. This led to him going on the developmental list and losing his spot on the roster. Hopefully, he can iron out the kinks in his mechanics because whenever Leiter is on, he is exciting as anybody in baseball. Another righty who can be exciting to watch is Emiliano Teatro, who finished the year in AA with a 1.98 ERA across 19 starts. The combination of this guy's fastball and slider are very exciting. However, he needs to develop more control, especially with the third and fourth offering of his pitches to remain as a starter in the majors. Another name that might sound familiar to those Rangers fans out there is Justin Foscue, who put together a really bad showing in his 15-game stint in the majors. Posting only 3 hits across 44 plate appearances is far from ideal. It's a bit concerning because Foscue is fully reliant on the bat with his rather poor defensive play, no matter where you put him in the field. So that bat really needs to come to life next season when he cracks the major league roster. And that's going to do it for the internal side of things. And while the clear strength of this prospect system is its pitching, it isn't something the Rangers should fully rely on in 2025, which is why they will grab Luis Severino from the New York Mets. Severino has enjoyed a nice rebound season with the Mets. Over the course of 31 starts, he has enjoyed a 3.91 ERA while doing much better in the quality of contact the opposing teams are getting. Severino would be a much cheaper option than that of the guys leaving in free agency and would give the Rangers quality inning. Another name who could be in the rotation or joining the bullpen depending on need is Nick Martinez coming from the Reds. Martinez has quietly enjoyed a really great season with the Reds, posting a low 3 ERA across 42 games with 16 starts mixed in there. This is a guy that can make that transition between the bullpens seamlessly and with ease, and would be an excellent piece for the Rangers who need a little bit of help at both aspects. Rangers fans of the mid to late 2010s, it might be the least favorable pitcher in the memory bank, but he is much better now after his 4 seasons in Japan and 3 seasons with the Reds. Bullpen wise, the team would grab AJ Minter as the replacement for Andrew Chafin, as well as Paul Sewald to help replace David Robertson. Minter has been great since his 2020 season, where he posted a .83 ERA while striking out over 10 batters per 9 innings in that span. The injuries would keep his contract manageable and would be an excellent replacement for this team desperately in need of a lefty reliever. Seawald has not enjoyed the same success on the field as Mentor in 2024, posting a 4.31 ERA across 42 games. The main thing plaguing Seawald in 2024 is that his strikeouts are a bit down, but with so much success starting in 2021, it's hard not to bet on the guy with so much upside. Adding to the bench, we have a couple of names that bounce from one contender to the next. The first of which is Jason Hayward as a fourth outfielder. Hayward might not be the defensive wizard that we once knew him as, but he is still serviceable, and his near league average bat and veteran presence would be a much welcome sight for this Rangers squad. And the final piece of the puzzle for the 2025 Rangers would be Austin Barnes as a backup catcher. Barnes continues to stick around on this Dodgers roster despite never really getting much playing time and would be a solid addition as a backup catcher to Jonah Heim. That brings the final roster to Jonah Heim at catcher, Nathaniel Lau at first, Marcus Simeon at second, Josh Jung at third, Corey Seager at short, Wyatt Langford in left, Leody Taveras in center, with Evan Carter in right and Adolis Garcia at DH. The bench would consist of Josh Smith, Justin Foscue, Jason Hayward, and Austin Barnes. The rotation would be headlined Jacob DeGrom, who you need a healthy season from, Cody Bradford, Luis Severino, Kamar Rocker, and Nick Martinez to start the year, with room for him to get moved to the bullpen for one of these prospects later on in the season. Would this team be World Series favorites from the jump of the season? No, absolutely not. But this is a team that would probably look to shed some age, particularly from this rotation, so naturally it would have its question marks. However, with some luck from the injury bug and proper development from big name prospects, this could quickly turn into a very dangerous team. The offense will always remain scary. However, if this team's pitching can put up the numbers they're capable of, with some health, it could be a very scary team to face come October in 2025.